Cairo, a city of vibrant chaos, was the backdrop of their love story. The bustling streets and the ancient whispers of history set the stage for a romance that would stand the test of time.
I was a bright-eyed student with dreams as big as the Nile when I met Rafat. My days were filled with books and aspirations, but my nights were soon filled with thoughts of him.
And I was just a charming engineer with a smile that could melt the desert heat. My work was my passion, but meeting Sahar brought a new kind of joy into my life.
Their connection was instant, a whirlwind of dates by the pyramids and whispered promises under the starlit sky. They found magic in the mundane and adventure in every moment together. They married young, surrounded by the joyful cacophony of family celebrations. Their wedding was a vibrant tapestry of love, laughter, and lifelong commitments.
I promised Sahar a life of comfort and security with my steady ambition. Every plan I made, every step I took was with her happiness in mind.
And I vowed to be the heart of our home, a haven of love and laughter. Our home was our sanctuary, filled with warmth and joy.
Their early years were filled with the simple joys of building a life together. From picnics in the park to decorating their first home, every moment was a cherished memory. Each milestone, from their first tiny apartment to Rafat's promotion, was a testament to their shared dreams. They celebrated every success and faced every challenge hand in hand. They were a team united against the world, their love a fortress against the uncertainties of life. Together, they faced every storm, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. The years brought with them the pitter-patter of tiny feet. Two beautiful children, a boy and a girl, completed their picture of happiness.
Our small apartment transformed into a bustling home, echoing with the sounds of children's laughter.
Sahar embraced motherhood with open arms, her world now revolving around her children's needs. She poured her heart into creating a loving and nurturing home.
I worked tirelessly to provide for my family, being the rock, the steady hand guiding us through life's challenges.
They were the envy of their friends and family. Summers were spent on the beaches of Alexandria, building sandcastles and chasing waves. Weekends were filled with family dinners, laughter ringing out as stories were shared and memories made. To the outside world, they were the perfect family. Life, however, rarely follows a straight path. Into their idyllic world stepped Mahmoud.
He was a colleague of Rafat's, a charismatic businessman with an air of danger that both intrigued and repelled me.
Their first encounter was innocuous, a brief meeting at a company function. Yet Mahmoud's gaze lingered on Sahar, a spark of something unsettling in his eyes.
He began appearing at our social gatherings, his presence like a shadow lurking at the edges of our happiness.
Sahar found herself drawn to him, his charm a dangerous contrast to Rafat's dependable stability. He whispered compliments, feeding her ego with words she yearned to hear but rarely received from her preoccupied husband. A dangerous seed was planted, one that would soon blossom into a forbidden desire. The cracks in Sahar's life were subtle at first, barely perceptible to the untrained eye. Years of domesticity, the constant demands of motherhood had taken their toll.
I loved my children dearly, but yearned for the life I once envisioned, a life of excitement and passion.
Mahmoud, sensing her vulnerability, seized his opportunity. He filled her ears with whispers of discontent, reminding her of the dreams she had left behind.
Imagine a life free from responsibility, a life where you are admired and desired.
His words were a balm to her wounded spirit, a dangerous validation she craved. She had given her all to her family, yet felt invisible, taken for granted. The seeds of resentment, sown by Mahmoud, began to take root, poisoning her heart against the man she had vowed to love forever. Their affair, when it finally blossomed, was a whirlwind of stolen moments and clandestine meetings. Sahar, consumed by guilt and exhilaration, felt truly alive for the first time in years. Mahmoud became her confidant, her escape from the mundane reality of her life. He showered her with gifts and attention, fueling her desire for a life beyond the four walls of her home. He was the serpent in the Garden of Eden, whispering sweet poison into her ear, convincing her that true happiness lay in his arms. Rafat, oblivious to his wife's betrayal, remained dedicated to providing for his family. He worked long hours, convinced that his efforts were securing their happiness. He was blind to the storm brewing within his own home, a storm fueled by his wife's infidelity and Mahmoud's insidious influence. As the weeks turned into months, Sahar's guilt morphed into a chilling resolve. Mahmoud, with his manipulative charm, had woven a web of deceit so tangled that escape seemed impossible. He convinced her that Rafat was an obstacle to their happiness, a burden they needed to shed. The idea was first planted as a seed, a dark fantasy whispered in the dead of night, but as time went on it took root in Sahar's heart, nurtured by Mahmoud's insidious suggestions. He painted a picture of a future where they were free, where their love could finally flourish without constraints. The children, however, presented a problem. Mahmoud, with chilling detachment, argued that they were a liability, a constant reminder of Sahar's past life. He convinced her that their deaths would be a mercy, a way to spare them from the pain and scandal that would inevitably follow. The night of the planned accident arrived cloaked in a deceptive calmness, a stillness that belied the storm brewing within the walls of the home.
I'm home. It smells wonderful in here, Sahar. What have you cooked tonight?
Rafat, exhausted but content after a long day at work, returned home to the tantalizing aroma of Sahar's cooking. The scent of spices and herbs filled the air, promising a delightful meal. He was oblivious to the darkness lurking beneath the surface, to the poison that laced the food she so lovingly prepared. Each bite he took brought him closer to an unforeseen doom.
Welcome home, Rafat. Dinner is ready. I hope you're hungry.
The children, their laughter echoing through the apartment, were eager to share their day with their father. Their innocent joy was a stark contrast to the sinister reality unfolding. They had no idea that this seemingly ordinary meal would be their last, that their mother, their protector, had become their executioner. The family's blissful ignorance was a cruel twist of fate. Sahar, her heart pounding in her chest, served the food with trembling hands. The weight of her actions bore down on her, making her movements shaky and uncertain.
Here you go, everyone. Enjoy your meal. I made all your favorites tonight.
She maintained a facade of normalcy, forcing a smile as she watched her family eat the poisoned meal. Her heart ached with every forced expression of cheerfulness. Each bite they took was a hammer blow to her conscience, a stark reminder of the monstrous act she was committing. The guilt gnawed at her, threatening to consume her entirely. The first sign of trouble was a muffled groan from Rafat.
Ugh, my chest. Something's wrong.
He clutched at his chest, his face contorted in pain as the poison began to take hold. The children, their laughter dying in their throats, watched in horror as their father slumped to the floor. Panic erupted.
Oh no, Rafat, what's happening?
The children screamed, their innocent cries piercing the air as they rushed to their father's side. Sahar, her carefully constructed facade crumbling, was paralyzed by fear and guilt. The enormity of her actions hit her with the force of a physical blow.
Sahar, why?
As Rafat lay writhing on the floor, his breaths becoming shallow gasps, the truth dawned on him. His eyes, wide with betrayal and accusation, met Sahar's. In that moment, all pretense was stripped away, the horrifying reality of her betrayal laid bare. The arrival of the ambulance was a cacophony of flashing lights and panicked voices. Sahar, still in shock, watched as paramedics frantically worked to save her husband and children. The poison, a fast-acting neurotoxin, had begun to take its toll.
Please save them. Do whatever you can.
The scene at the hospital was a blur of sterile corridors and hushed whispers. Doctors worked tirelessly, but the prognosis was grim. Rafat, his body ravaged by the poison, clung to life by a thread. The children, their young systems overwhelmed, were in a medically induced coma.
This can't be happening. What have I done?
Sahar, surrounded by the concerned and judgmental stares of family and friends, felt the full weight of her actions crushing down on her. The whispered accusations, the looks of disgust and horror were a constant reminder of the irreparable damage she had caused. The following days were a blur of grief, anger, and disbelief. Rafat, his body unable to combat the poison, succumbed to his fate, leaving behind a gaping hole in the lives of those who loved him. The children, though clinging to life, remained in a coma, their futures uncertain. The family was shattered, their hearts heavy with sorrow and fear.
I confess. I did it. I poisoned them. I thought it was the only way out.
The truth, like a poisonous vine, quickly entangled Sahar. The police, piecing together the evidence, uncovered the affair and the chilling plan. They found the poison bottle, the damning texts, and the motive. Sahar, consumed by guilt and remorse, confessed to her crimes, her words a chilling testament to the devastating power of manipulation and betrayal. She'd been driven by desperation and a twisted sense of justice.
I never meant for it to end this way. I was lost, confused.
As she sat in her cold, sterile cell, awaiting trial for the murder of her husband and the attempted murder of her children, Sahar was left to confront the wreckage of her life. The walls of her cell echoed with the memories of her actions. The love, the laughter, the family she had carelessly destroyed were now nothing more than haunting memories, a constant reminder of the devastating consequences of her choices. She would spend the rest of her days grappling with the weight of her actions, forever haunted by the lives she had torn apart.